Okay, so this is about the words. Some of these words I've done a little bit of work into, and I know there's more there because I just have this feeling based on the structure. Now, someone mentioned to me the other day about the matrix. This isn't about the matrix, this is about everything that's going on right now. So the word architect, so I looked up the word architect, and it comes off as master builder. But then when you put the roots in, you've got the root, which is the core idea, and like amore, which is love, and then you'll have or vol, which means to fly. You have voli, volar, volamus, volare, volant. So one is I fly, you fly, we fly. So it's first person, second person, third person. And then after that, you'll have tense. And I start this up, but it'll be perfect, imperfect, pluperfect, preperfect, and there's one more I can't remember. But I've got to go and write them down. And basically, it's we did fly, we will fly, we could fly, I want to fly, we might fly, sort of thing. So it's we did fly, I want to fly, future tense, we did fly, past tense, or we could fly, which is a proposition. So when you comprehend that, then you start learning. This is the grammar that we were never taught, right? So this is it. I'm not trying to get the technicalities. I'll do a clip later about the technicalities, and I'll go over it and get it in my head, so I'm not making mistakes or leaving bits out. But basically, architect, archi means protect, arcus means citadel, tectus means conceal and secret. So architect means to protect the citadel and conceal the secret. Doesn't sound like master builder, does it? Now, master is the post, and ter is mark the energy man, which signifies earth, and builder is the builder. So then you got the matrix. The word matrix literally means the womb. Ma is mama, and trix is feminine. So executor is or is the masculine, which or means a consistency of, ist means a practice of, rix means the feminine. So or is executor is masculine, executrix is feminine. So then you got the word oracle. So you got the architect, the matrix, which is the system. Now the matrix is the womb, and so technically we got the Russians drilled down 12 kilometres. All they hit was water, and they said to the Americans, "Where'd you get this globe from? Where'd you get this molten core and everything else?" Because we drove down and all we hit was more water. The further they got down the water, then they hit 12,300 metres, and then they hit an impervious barrier. And when you go up 12 kilometres, there's no oxygen, and it's when all life stops, top and bottom. And so technically, if you believe the Bible and the dome and Admiral Byrd, and if you go to Encyclopedia Britannica or Funk and Wagnalls, I think it is 1950, it actually says the dome is 11,000 feet high at its lowest point at the wall, on the ice wall. Captain Cook sailed around Australia, took Antarctica, not what you think. It took him 3 years, and it's in his books, it took him 3 years and 7 months. At his current rate of knots, on the flat earth theory, it should have taken him 4 years and 2 months, but he ran out of food and water. He ran out of food supplies. Based on his rate of knots, it would have only taken him 6 to 9 months to circumnavigate Antarctica on the globe-tide theory. Now, I'm not pushing it. I'm saying it doesn't make sense. What they're saying doesn't make sense. Sorry, I should be looking this way. So then you got Caesar. So Caesar, when he was questioned, I'll see if I can pull it up without going into too much detail. Okay, so it should be coming up in a sec. I am Caesar, not Rex. So I am is the sigil, and it's written in all capital letters, is the sigil for Saturn, and CAE is rendered as CH, which means sodomite and underworld, and Sa is their god and R is man. So sigil, the sodomite and underworld god of man. And then he says he's not Rex. So I'm just reading what I see. So this Freemason got on left a comment, said, "Oh, you're I'm on my last clip before they took it down after 8 hours because I mentioned the jibby jab. I shouldn't have mentioned that." He basically said, "Oh, this is a 12th grade, a year 12 interpretation of the word." And then I just come back and said, "Well, technically Jesus means I am. If you take Jesus, Jesuit, and Jesui, the vowels are inconsequential in Hebrew, and you just go off the consonants." Because it's the dead language, it's the dead on the page. I'll explain that in a minute. And so what happens is it's JSS which translates as a glyph into I am, which is Jesus means Jesus, Jesuit, and Jesus is technically means I am, and I am is sigil for Saturn. And the Freemasons use the sigils. They put them on the magic squares and then all the numbers, and then the sigil gives them the numbers, and then they make words out of the numbers, right? They've got a whole system of rods, belts, and codes and ciphers and everything else. So, effectively, when Caesar said I am, he's saying he's Saturn. And Caesar was a priest because Caesar today is the Pope. Pope comes from popus, which means a priest that sacrifices. Now, a Caesarean was said to be, when Caesar so fated, a woman would endure childbirth. That's the correct word. If you Google Caesarean etymology, that's what comes up. And so what happens is, the story is that a woman would be dying or dead, and they would cut the baby out if it was over a certain age, and then they would rescue the baby. And so what happens is, if you're a slave and you had kids, had offspring, what would happen is they would be yours, but you'd be a slave to the master, and you'd do like a 7-year indenture. When you'd leave, he'd give you the total amount, because it's like when you plant seeds and you get free labour. You plant one seed, you get 100 seeds on a shaft of grain. Yeah, so you get 100-fold, and so you pay them what they lost, and you've got 100-fold that in interest, and that's how the system used to work. And so indentured slavery would be 70 years. It's in Ben-Hur and all this kind of stuff. And so you would voluntarily go into slavery to the master. But if the parents died, or the father died, and father means male, fat, father is fat, and her, fat, P-A-T-R-I, patriarchal. So it's male, female. So if the father died, which means the male and the female, then the house, the master, would claim the offspring. And so it could be possible that and this all comes from Egypt, because Caesar married Cleopatra, right? So it's all the one system. It's all flags, it's all admiralty, it's all shipping, it's all merchants. Jesus was the son of a merchant who's the son of the nephew to an uncle who was a merchant and a Jew, a tin and a goldsmith, and he travelled to Glastonbury. That's the first church with IESVS, which is a corporation, it's a trust. And that's not me saying it. You can look up the Doomsday Book, the whole lot. So technically, the Egyptian Roman system metaphorically killed everyone off, and there's and it's not me saying it. So if I go to civilly, where'd you go? If I go to, damn it, I'm going to waste 10 seconds of your time. Sorry about this. No. There we go. And I'll pull one more up. So civilly dead, right? So civilly dead is an Old English Roman term, and it's also under US law. So civilly mortis is civilly dead, the dead in view of the law, the condition of one who's lost his civil rights and capacities and accounted dead in law. Okay, so that sounds pretty grim, right? Then you've got oh damn, I thought it was US code. I had one with US code. So that's civilly dead. I apologise for this. Civilly dead. This has got to be it. Civilly mortem. I've got that one. And one more. I didn't want to do this. Where's US code? No, okay. So basically in Old English, this ties in with it, but I had the US code here, and I've got to find it again. So in US code, a United States citizen is a civilly dead, and it's a co-trustee and co-beneficiary to the cess decay trust. That's a US citizen. Now, that's just from memory, so the wording, I'm pretty good these days, but in Old English law, de facto means respecting or concerning the principal act of a murder, which is technically denotes a factum. So now you've got to go with factum. And so de facto in Old English law means dead or a murder. So they kill you off civilly, and they call it a de facto relationship. And only when you register with them and you get rank or you unincorporate yourself, then you're now civilly living. Because CI is energy, VI is force, and L is the shepherd. So it's energy and force for the shepherd. So now you're in a situation where and I'm only saying imagine this, right? Imagine they killed everyone off civilly, and then they get to claim the babies, the young ones, as their property of their estate, which every state is someone's estate because it's a private members association. And when we register to them, we become the public, which is the artificial person, which is has the mind and voice of the natural person who is the sole corporation. So when the police go around calling you a sovereign citizen, well, sovereign is a corporation soul, a sole corporation. There you go. So again, it's a soul of sun worship, and core means God, so it's a sun god. And then they say you're a sovereign citizen, and a citizen is a person. So now you've got a situation where you're a sovereign citizen, so you're a corporation soul and also an artificial person. Well, the artificial person is the property of the corporation soul. And so then when you look at person, I'm jumping ahead here, but I shouldn't, so I'll keep going. So perish, I'll just do the usage rule. So perish means die badly, ish is people, so per means to die. So person means dead light. So when Freemasons go, I want more light, and more means death. So you're in a situation now where you've got I don't know if they're doing, but they're basically saying for no light or dead light. So a Caesarean is a childbirth, and then that's based on an occupation. Right, so I want to do this bit down here, but it's part of a sequence, and I should have moved it up further. So occupation, okay, occlude means to block. It's the Italian word. It's pretty sure it's in English as well. And then you got occult. So one means to block, and one means to hide. So occu means to block and to hide. Yeah, and then so what they do is then you got P-A-T-I-O, and pattern. P-A-T is the first three letters of pater, which means father. Yeah, pat and her, so male and female, patriarch, matriarch, yeah? So they changed the geometry, but it's still the same thing, matri, patriarch, matriarch, ark is a ship. And so that a ship, ark is ARC, and ARCH is a ship upside down, so that's for the monarch, yeah? It's a ship, it's a church. That's why the look at the cathedral and all the windows, they're little tenders, little ships. The roof's a ship, the whole lot. And so what happens is by removing the father, then the mother comes in and basically it's not the mother, it's the registered informant. And so now you've got a bastard by birth, and so by removing the matri and patriarch, I don't want to use an ark, but the matriarch and patriarch, then they come in and claim the abandoned property. Now, so pat equals patri, equals, because it's the root, patria means fatherland, patri means father, and patrol, so you've got the highway patrol, high and way. So high is gold, AU is authority, high, way, W-A-H is the last half of the God's name. So Yah is our DNA, and way, Yahweh is said to be the God of the Bible. So high, way, patrol means father, R-O means God, and L is a shepherd. All right, so I'm just giving you the Kemetic, the Latin, the Greek, the Old French, and the roots and suffixes of English. So it's all combined, and that's how they create the dialectic. And so then what happens is, and so L is a shepherd. So in the Bible it talks about shepherd, and so this is spin people out. But shepherd comes from Sephardic, and that's a Jew, right? So when God is the shepherd, you're saying the Jew, because God means in Old French, that's God in English. It is in Old French is Roy, and Al in Hebrew means Almighty, it's a prefix, and so Royal means God Almighty. So when you're praying to God, you're actually praying to the Queen. And I said this to my sister the other day, and it's the first time in a long time, for 20 minutes, she didn't say a word, and she got it. She goes, that's the first time you actually made sense, and you strung it all together. I could follow everything. I said, that's because I've dumbed it down so much that it's easy, and I've linked it all together so well that I can print it out. And I've done it so many times in my head, but doing it here now, I'm a little bit disjointed, so I apologise. So now you got God is the king and the queen, which is a corporation soul. The shepherd comes to Sephardic, which is Jew. The king and the queen are Jews because they put the money on the face, which means they're money lenders. Anyway, you look at Visa, it says VI means force, SA is their God, the demonic word for God. I got that off Sean Ross off the Swissy channel, where he was one of them, and he wasn't into the child sacrifices and the blood, and he came out and he's just exposing the geometry, the whole fucking lot. All right, the cross on the cross, the segments like that, like that, like that, like that, and it's got the ring in the centre. That's actually an exploded pyramid. And then you've got it's a square and a pyramid all at the same time, and then the globe. So they've got the Platonic solids they've got 3 of the Platonic solids. Actually, no, they've got 4. 4 of the Platonic solids just on the crown that I can see without going into Platonic solids. So then you got Pope, which is papi, because the vowels change through dialect. So you got Pope, which means father, papi, papa, and pop, which all mean father. And so you've got PAP is father and R is man. So what they've done is they've used curses, because you sign in cursive. They've got used cursing yourself, because all the words mean harm. THE is mark the helix of man. TO is mark the I. SO is force the I. And so they're all curses, and I'll prove it in a sec. So, and it's a psychosis based on a paper possession, based on titles and ego, because tit is how they get fed from L, which created the paper, and the father of man. And so what happens is paper-based psychosis. I had a really good one. I lost my train. So basically, you'll get the police, and they're like the white fella waving the paper in front of the black fellas, and saying, "Oh, the Queen's given me a mandate," and all this kind of shit, to commit murder and genocide. So you've now got the picture that the words mean so swearing. So what they've got is they've got us swearing, because when you and swear, because SWEAR, take the vowels out. Remember, SW and R. Right, that's how they read the Hebrew. You talk with the vowels and the consonants, and then they take the vowels out in the formal setting. So you learn as a kid, and you don't use it when you get older. So SWEAR is SWR is swear. So when you and is the antithesis of a thing. So thesis and antithesis, and so swear and you got and swear. So when they speak to you, they're cursing using cursive, so they're swearing, and you're forced to reply. Ply means to bind, re means again in idiot speak, but it means no contract, because they're forcing you. So you and swear. Right, so police, when they speak to you, they're swearing. When police take an oath, they're swearing. When you say the word fuck, all you're doing is emphasising the point, and they're saying it's swearing. It's fraud. It's a fictitious construct. So they say, I'm offended, it's an offence. Well, offence can only ever be taken. It can never can be taken, it can never be given. Because people have been brainwashed into finding everything offensive, and they're saying, oh, it's terrorised the guy walking down the street. But there's a guy walking down on the ABC on 1988, and he's walking with a shotgun, broken, over his shoulder, just walking down. He's got clothes on, shirt and pants, walking through High Street in Sydney. No one got upset. So everything you're feeling right now is a psychosis, and it's a program. So then we go to executor. Right now, I just did these loosely, but the one I was after was beneficiary, and this one will knock you out of the tree. So executor comes from exsequi, exsequi, which means to pursue for vengeance and punishment. So that's what the magistrate's doing. He's administering an estate, and he's coming in as the executor, and he's fucking punishing you. So then we go to settler, and a settler, set means to kill. Isis, Horus, and Set. Set is a god of death, and that's why they all settle at the end, because it's the end of the day. It's a god of death. Kills off because it's all allegory and metaphor. So when NASA says to go into war, go into Mars. Mars is the god of war. M upside down is an inversion, is war, and it's a living alpha man. Yes, and that's what they're doing. They're killing us. Set law is to settlers colonise, place fixed and permanent position, sets up a trust moving. So the settler sets up the trust, naming the beneficiary, right? Set kills death. Set L, set is God. L, set means kill. L is God, and is the and or is the consistency of. So then we come to trustee. Trustee is the third party who holds the disputed property. So the state comes in, holds the disputed property. The magistrate's there. He's trying to get paid out of your trust, and he wants you to identify the name. And then he's got control of the name, control of you, and he can stick the name you in jail, right? Which is fucking what they're doing is it's called an unconscionable bargain, which is the birth certificate, unconscionable conduct, and it's called unjustified enrichment. Now, a guy I know, g'day mate, he did some paperwork, and he put down on the paperwork, this is unjust enrichment. And that was the core emphasis and unconscionable bargain, which is their statutes. He's been driving around for 3 years, no registration, no license. He had a car crash the other day, first time in 20 years, and it was his fault. And the insurance came after him. He said, "You're a subrogate." So you pay the insurance company to cover you any damages you do, so that's subrogation. And so when you go into court, if the victim can subrogate, the prosecutor can be this subrogate. If the victim can subrogate to the prosecutor, then you can subrogate. You've got the right of subrogation as well. You've got to look into that. So you put someone else in place of you to discharge a debt. So basically what happens is, I don't want to talk about that because it's a bit more complicated. I'm going to get my head right for that. So then what happens is you've got beneficiary. Now beneficiary, if you look it up, comes from beneficiarius or benefictum. Now beneficiarius means a privileged soul. Remember, the root is the meaning, and then the middle is the I want to happen, it will happen, it could happen, has happened. So beneficiary is a privileged soldier exempt from certain duties, has rights. Okay, so then I put in bene, which means agreeable, cheap, and then ficium or ficiarius, and it's a fig tree. So if you go in there as the beneficiary, you're going in there as the tree, the fig tree, and the tree bears the fruit, and they're going to fucking rape your tree, your trust, right? So you don't want to go in there as a beneficiary. So there's a girl on Facebook, and she's put a clip up, and it's called Be Free with D. Now, she looks Western, and she's got a slight droop here and a slight droop here, and she just doesn't look, maybe some kind of Asian side of it, over near the Caucasus. And I'm pretty good with the eyes and the geometry of the face. And I made a comment the other day, and I said, because it didn't sit right with me, and I'll explain why. And I made a comment the other day, and I said, is she Jewish? She looks Jewish. And someone put a comment in almost straight away, she's Turkish. I said, Turkish. Ish is people, right? K is Q is G. Berg is Berg. It swaps over, like PH is F and S and T and J. So jointer is jointer, and Stephen is Steve, PHEN. So then, so J-U-R, jurist is Jewish, judiciary, and K, J-U-R-K-I-S, Jewish. I said, and you look like a Hasidic Jew, black hair, thick black eyebrows. You don't look that Turkish at all. I've seen Turkish people. They're bigger and stronger than you, a lot bulkier. So, are you Jewish? And I said, basically, she's never been RF'd. She's never been run off the road. She's never been threatened by Mossad. She's never been handled by Deborah Bentley. She hasn't put any of that kind of stuff up there. She's got no... she hasn't been arrested for making a recording of a court... recording an administrative tribunal, what they call a court. And it just didn't sit right with me. And she's got these photos. She's all happy in her life. And, she hasn't been unref. She hasn't been poisoned. Her teeth aren't falling out. Her ears aren't ringing like mine are. And I'm like, what the fuck? My sister's aged 15 years. In 7 years, she's gone down this rabbit hole. She looks like she's going to... Anyway, I shouldn't say. She's not in a good way. So... it just doesn't sit right. Now, I'm going to read Halsburys' Rules on Administrative Law from 2011. The law is absolutely clear on this subject that there is no authority for an administrative court in this country, and no act can be passed to legitimise them. So that means a magistrate sitting and a judge sitting without a jury and without a victim, and I mean a proper victim, not the prosecutor prosecuting, without a victim, right? That might sound a bit weird, but I'll explain that in another clip. Without a victim, no harm, injury, or loss, then it's administrative tribunal, and they're administrating a trust, and they've got you in as the beneficiary, the co-trustee of the public trust, which is an Australian citizen, which is one of these motherfuckers. Because if you go to this, now this was on the Treasury website, Australian government. Now I'm no IT expert, I can't fake this shit. And this was taken down. Now if you Google this now, it comes up as trading debt securities. It doesn't actually show you this. So you can see the numbers there. And if you go to my Facebook page and click on photos or videos, you'll see a copy of that. So this entity here, the citizen, the civilly dead person, is and that will tell you. It says registered with the SEC, Australian Government, in brackets, Commonwealth of Australia. If it's in brackets, they're four corners, which means it's removed from the page. So it's telling you it's not the Commonwealth of Australia. And you'll notice there 333-163307. So there's lots of 33. So that tells you it's Freemasonry. That tells you you're a civilly dead citizen. And that will tell you you're no longer under the imperial crown. So that's the It's funny because the imperial crown's in the middle one, but it's not on the outside one. It's the same Edward's crown there. So we're supposed to be under the imperial crown. Im means no, impossible. So you got not and possible. It's an idiom. It's idiot speak. And so you got imperial. Imperial means to die. So no dead mind alpha. Yeah. Now we'll come back. So be free with D is telling everyone, say, are you administrating my trust? I'm the beneficiary of trust. I'm the living being. Well, that's getting you to go in there as the fruit, and they're just going to keep plundering the estate, right? So this guy here, his name's Guy Taylor. They murdered him at age 53. He had a heart attack, and the guy was fit as a fiddle. John Davis, I think pretty sure it's John Harris. Sorry, he died at 52 with a heart attack as well, and he was winning in court and stopping all the shit. So effectively, it's an administrative tribunal that is a trust meeting, and because they don't entrust, because it doesn't entrust those, it invites with a summons to tell them that it is a trust. Far from it, sounds like fraud and false representation to me. So if you look up Guy Taylor, commercial liens, that'll come up. And so they're doing an unjustified enrichment and unconscionable bargains and unconscionable conduct, and they're getting you to identify as the beneficiary. Now, there's a term that is called lunatic and idiot. I've got it in my thing. I should have pulled it up. I'll do it in another clip, but basically an idiot and a lunatic is someone who, from nativity, doesn't know their rights. And so that is based on the fact they're fluoridating the water and putting the mercury in the teeth and destroying them. The teeth are all connected to the brain, and the capacitors for the brain. And when you move your teeth, you create electrical signals to make, stimulate the brain. So then you've got I can't even read my own writing. Tricky people into identifying as the beneficiary. Beneficium, bene and ficium. Now, fici, fiction. Does fiction mean fruit? If it's fiction, it means it's not real, and the fruit is not real. It's a metaphor. So ficium, I haven't done fiction yet, but ficium and ficiaris and ficium both use fici, which means a fig tree. So it's the fruit, the tree that bears the fruit. So the fiction is the tree that bears the fruit, because they get you to identify as the person as the name. I'll do name. I shouldn't do it because I'm almost finished this. So NAAM is a creation by the king where if it has a num or a name, then the king can come in and take that property. So by naming it, you allow them to come in and take it. If you name it in their jurisdiction, juris means to speak, and diction is to speak. So call a copper a dickhead. It's not swearing, because dick means to speak, and he's only using his head, and he's not thinking. That's why he's a dickhead, right? And he's a person in government, which is a pig. Anyway, I hope you like that one. So perish means to die badly. Ish is people. Per means to die. So then you've got person, and then you've got it's all about sun worship. So you got Solomon, which is sol on, which is Latin, Hindi, and Egyptian. Then you got barrister. Bar means sun, Hebrew. Then you got solicitor, means sun, soul. In the movie Martian. Then you got Isis Horus set on the cross, which is the church, which is a corporation which was a corporation that was dead on a sandbar, no longer seaworthy, dragged up on land, turned upside down to remove the floorboards, remove the decking, use it as walls, use the masts as the four corners, raise the ship up, and then that's a church, and then it has a shop front, a ship front. Remember, change the bells, and you have a bishop or a bishop, and that's where the whole system comes from. So the cross is the ledger. and they get you to identify. And so then we go to the mother. Mother is M-U-T-H-R, is M-U-D-E-R in 5 other ancient languages. And so the mother, the murder is the murderer, because Mary was the mother, and Mary comes from Maria, which means a sea, and was a parent, and by obligation abandoned, was a person, was a corporation, is a ship, and is civilly dead, and sits on a sandbar. And when a ship sits on a sandbar, it's a corporation. It's a ship, it's a corporation, it's a person, it's a parent, it's a name, it's an action. And so and a ship is an anagram of hips. So the ship, the name, the mother, the parent, the corporation gave birth to was the parent, which by obligation gave birth, which basically gave birth, which is by obligation abandoned, natus vente, which was a child, which is abandoned and an abortion and a stillbirth, and born alive, which means dead, because living is the same as moral, the same as amoral is the antithesis of moral, and alive is the antithesis of living. So abandoned, abortion, stillbirth, born alive, therefore they killed off the father, created a civilly dead entity, citizen under US code, federally under US code. So I don't have that one here. I'll dig it up. I'm trying to do short ones and just stick to do one page at a time, because I know I go off topic. And so basically, I've got this one here. So you know that de facto in English law means murder. Civilly mortis, I've explained that. And then now US code. So this is, you can Google this. So this is 34 US code, US U.S. code, subsection 10272, falsification of concealment facts. Now, remember this entity here. Oh, I've got to pull it up so I can see what I'm doing. This entity here, that one there, is registered and the property of the United States, and the ATO is created by that, and every ABN entity is also a creation of that, and so they're all under US code. So whoever knowingly, willfully falsifies, conceals, covers up, tricks, schemes, devices, material fact in any application is submitted pursuant to the chapters of any recording requirements to be maintained pursuant to this chapter shall be subject to prosecution under this provision, section 111001 of Title 18. So that's concealment and falsification of facts. Now, they're under the GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting practices. Worldwide accounts have to follow. They're under the Basel 1, 2, and 3 Accords, which is the banking. So GAAP is accounting for accountants. Basel 1, 2, and 3 is for banking. And just YouTube them. They explain it really simply. And you got uncitral. I call it unicitral before, but it's uncitral, which is arbitration of contracts and debt disputes and debt validation. And so now we go to 28 USC code, 28 U.S. I've got to say it that way, otherwise you won't put it in right. So 28 U.S. code, subsection 607, practice of law prohibited. So this one's a perler, because they're administrating tribunals. Any officer or employee of administrative office shall not engage directly or indirectly in the practice of law in any court of the United States. So what are they doing? It's called federal lex mercatoria. Mercatoria is merchant. It's not trade, because merchant translates to trade. It's trade on the sea, right? Which means you were civilly dead. You had no rights because you're on their ship, right? And then lex means law, and a lexicographer is the one who writes the words. So the word is the law, because the lexicographer writes the words, so therefore the lex is the law. And then the jurisdiction is English, and then the other jurisdiction is the copyright, so it's Crown copyright. That's your Crown copyright. And so they've got us speaking. That's why they went into Ireland. That's why they went into Wales and Scotland. And they slaughtered all the fucking bards. They got rid of all the teachers. They put their own teachers in there. They banned their language. They made us speak English because it's debt speak. You own it means you're taxed. That's not fair. That means tax. When you go, I want my Bill of Rights. I have rights. Okay, so bill means a debt and right means to be ruled. So when you say Bill of Rights, this is the one I almost forgot. This is the whole clip. So the Bill of Rights, bill means a debt and rights means to be ruled. You're saying there's a debt, so rule me. I'm incompetent, so rule me. There's a debt, rule me. Well, if you didn't fluoridate us and mercurize us and take over the school system, as this Jewish guy says on YouTube, we took over your schools and it's basically daycare for 15 years of your life. You're not learning anything. was the Jewish people learn Hebrew, they learn the Latin, they learn the geometry, sacred geometry, they learn the true meaning of the words, and it comes down to this. If anyone's got a problem with anything I say, let me know. The problem with YouTube is they deleted my last clip because I mentioned the jibby jab or something related. They don't specifically tell you what you mentioned, and then they should give you the option, and people need to start suing them to say, all right, you don't agree with that. We'll not argue that. Let me remove that part out of the clip and still keep the clip up. But it's not about that. It's about suppression. Like Kindle means to burn. They're getting rid of all the paper, the books. You can't see it behind me here, but you can't see it. Look, you can see all the books right there, the stacked tile. So they want to get rid of all the books. Now, the next one, so I've covered 28 USC code subsection 607 practice laws prohibited. That's the US, right? Then you go to 28 U.S. code subsection 454 practice of law by justices and judges. Yeah. So a magistrate, not all magistrates are judges, not all judges are not all magistrates are judges, and all judges are magistrates. So you've got to become a magistrate to get to the next level. So they're all magistrates, but once you get to the next level, you're no longer a magistrate, you become a judge. All right, so any justice or judge appointed under the authority of the United States who engages in the practice of law is guilty of a high misdemeanor. And this is June 25, 1948, Chapter 6, CH. 646, 62 stat stat.9808. Right? If anyone wants any of this, I can send it to you. If you get on my Facebook and scroll down, you got a lot of videos there. I apologise, but scroll down, and this is all there. It's all there. Right? I post it on Facebook, then I send it to my email, then I download it, and I've got, that way I've got like triplicate. So now I've got the problem where judges and justices engage in administration law. They got you to all capitalise your name, which is you incorporated as an artificial person to the natural person. And they've tricked you into being the beneficiary. Now, Guy Taylor says to the judge in England, he says, I realise this is an administrative court. It's not law. Administrative tribunal. It's not law. And then he says, what do you mean? And then what he does is he actually reads out, I'll read it again because it's so good. He said, Halsburys on Administration Law 2006. The law is absolutely clear on the subject that there is no authority for administrative courts in this country, and there is no act that can be passed to legitimise them. Right? So they're committing a tort. So he basically said, I'm here to arrest you. And he said, if you proceed, and the prosecutor's already been leaned up, and if you, so he's been given the fee schedule, and now he's going to give him the obligation of payment, which is the lien itself. And so then he says to the magistrate, go and watch Guy Taylor. He's amazing. He's funny as, and he's all numbers, he's all detail. And so then he says to the magistrate, if you proceed, I'm going to put a lien on you. And so they walk out of the room, they come back, and goes, case dismissed, but not for what you said, and they all run out. And so he had like 34 liens on 3 judges and several solicitors. So the lien process does work. It is commerce, C-O-M-E-R means to die, in the sea. Yeah, so you're civilly dead. But it does get them off his back. And now he died like 11 years. He died in 2018, I think. He had a heart attack. John Harris had a heart attack. That's what they do. They hit you with the RF. It just ages you. I'm not kidding you. You walk into Penrith Court. I walked in there 3 years apart, and the guy looked like he hadn't aged a day. And he goes, oh, you're back. And, they're into the baby's blood. They're into the... they don't use the negative speak on themselves. Like if you think, I want the tumour to get smaller, S is the force, and MAL is malignant, which means harm. They've got us harming us. Every word we use is harm. So think of the it said we didn't use to speak, and we didn't use toilets. There was no sewage systems in the Tartarian civilizations, and we used to use tensor rings and sacred geometry and electric to grow food and the plants. There's heaps of stuff coming out at the moment. So basically what's going on is, I know it sounds bizarre, but you've got to look this stuff up. And so what they've got going on is it's fraud, it's fiction. Ficus is the fruit. Beneficiarius Beneficium, bene means agreeable, and ficium means fruit in the tree. So their fiction is the fruit. That's where they get their fruit from. That's the tree of life, is their fiction. So they're making you the surety and being beneficiary. Now, beneficiary, like I said before, beneficiary, a beneficiarius, is a privileged soldier, so it's a rank in their civil society, and they're engaged in civil conscription. Now, it says in the Constitution, the 1900 Constitution, not that I'm saying that's valid at all, but it says in that, it says in the Constitution that was created under this seal, that it's Section 54, subsection 23, where it states it forbids the states from obliging anyone to engage in medical or dental treatments. So the mandates are bullshit. Mandate comes from mandate is a Roman term, and means when so mandated, the mandatee, when follows the mandate, it becomes a mandate. So basically, it's an order. They word it this way, so you don't know. It's an order from a master to a slave, or an employer to a servant, because a servant is a slave to the master for commensurate payment. And so you can, when you're at work, someone tells you to do something you don't want to do, you don't do it. And then they've got the right to fire, but then you've got the right to sue them because they don't have the right to get you to harm yourself. Now, the definition of safe legal is that once after being exposed for a period of time, once exposed, there is no side effects. There is no harm. And so every vaccine that has harm has side effects, so therefore they're not legally safe. And then they'll tell you that I shouldn't say anymore. I'm going off topic. So that's just the legal definition, right? So I'm not going to talk about the jibby jab. So effectively, that's it. I'll do one more. I'll do one more. I've got heaps. I've got so much it's not even funny. Since I've been doing the Latin, the geometry, the grammar, the Kemetic alphabet. Go and watch my clip on the Kemetic alphabet and write this side down and write this side down. I suggest you write the whole thing. I wrote this out in jail, and I had to look up some of the Greek and the Kemetic. I had to look up some of the Aramaic, sorry. I had to look at the Aramaic and some of the Greek, but these are all pretty much the same. But if you write this out, I'm not kidding you, if you take the time to write this, it'll take you a couple of hours, right? You've got to draw it up, make sure you space it out first, measure it out, draw it up, and then draw all that out. And basically, this side, so the meaning of this explains this. So if you go and look up lambda, gamma, so it's a shepherd's return. Alpha, lamma, delta is the alpha's shepherd doorway. And so you can look up these Greek words, and it won't, this means this, and it winds on forever, but it doesn't tell you. But if you draw this chart out, this all makes sense. I know Greek now. I know Kemetic, and I know the Latin, the true meaning of the word. And you can, once you've got that, like statute is forced to mark the alpha's mark in the vessel of the energy of man. State is forced to mark the alpha's mark in the energy of man. The is mark the helix in the energy of man. Right? So every word either has the L or the T, which is a form of harm, or M. M is harm. Mark, marks is money. Dollar as the L, dollars, harm. So I'm going to read out the Kemetic alphabet. This is actually a mission statement. This is a mission statement. So from A, so A is the alpha, is the head. B is the beta, is the house. C is the gamma, is the return. So something's coming back. Alpha's house returning. D is the doorway, so is the stargate, who knows. E is the energy of man. Y is the essence of, or the hook. G is the return of, and it's got the tongue, so it's the return of our speech, or his speech. H is the helix, the DNA, so is that the return of with the Ya, that's our atomic structure of DNA, and the Wa, Yahweh, WH, the Yahshua is his name said to be, and then become Isus and then Jesus, or Yahshua, and his followers were called, and the order was called the Way, W-A-H. So Yah and Way, there's God's name out of the Bible. I'm not saying that's God's name, but that's in the first page of the KJV, and I can't think of it now, the Roman Catholic one. I've got it right here. It's behind the sheet. I can't think of the name of it. So you've got the return of the helix, I is the mind, is the hand, because what the hand does is what they're thinking, and they'll say one thing but they're doing the other. So look what they're doing. They're selling everything to China. So you've got the alpha's house returning, the return through the door, the energy man, the essence, the return, the helix, the hand, the knowledge of the shepherd. On the C, the snake's energy. The snake is the end, which is also the reptilian part of the brain. So you got the reptilian part of the brain. N is the snake, is the reptilian part of the brain. Then you got L, M, N. O is the eye, the mind's eye, and then O is the mouth. So you got the fight or flight, the mind's eye, and then the mouth, and then you got the monkey. So it's telling you the fight or flight when he comes back. And then the monkey's representation of the X chromosome, which is the feminine, which is effectively the mating of the gods was the Y chromosome with the X chromosome. Robert Siefer talks about this in the science of genetics. And then then you got the return. So you got the return of his house for the doorway, for the knowledge, the wisdom of the shepherd, the sea. And then you got the snake part, the eye part, and then the mouth, and then so the fight or the flight, the opening of the eye. Then you got the monkey. Then you got man. So monkey is Q, is the feminine, which is the feminine part. This is our X chromosome. Then you got man is the R, represented by R. So the man, the man's force. So the man, RO is royal, is God, is the RH negative bloodline. So you got the God's force, and then S is the force. X is earth. Y is the hook, is the essence of. And then you've got X is symbolised by the fish. So you cut the head off the fish. So you go this. Cut the head off and you get an X. So fish symbolised, and it's also the earth symbol as well. So return to earth. The gods return to earth, the essence on earth, and the force of the weapon. So Y. So it's X is earth. T is X. V is the essence of, Y is the fish, X is the fish, Y is the essence of against the hook, and Z is the weapon, yeah? Zion is a weapon, yeah? That's what they're going to Zion, they're telling you. So Zion is represented by, it looks like an arrow with a payload, like a circle in the middle, and then it's got two straight lines, which look like a railgun, and then it's got Zayin, and then it's got Z and Zeta. So the alpha's house, the return, the doorway, the energy man, the force, the return, the helix, the mind's knowledge, the shepherds on the sea, the reptilian part of the brain, the all-seeing eye, the mind's eye, speak, the earth, man, force, the mark, the vessels on earth, the essence of the weapon. All right. Now, if you look up Australia, Australia in Sanskrit is said to be Australalia, which means land of missiles. Then you go to Wolf Creek, and there's like if a missile coming in like this, it goes, right, or an asteroid comes in and the fragments blow out. So it's like small in, large out. But Wolf Creek's a perfect circle, but it's not a volcano. And they're all over Australia. They're all over Tartaria. They're all over eastern Russia. That whole place is obliterated. It's just short trees. The trees should be massive. Anyway, so that's it. That's me explaining the architect, Caesar, the occupation, the birth certificate, trust law, civilly dead, unconscionable contracts, administrating of a trust, and hopefully this clip stays up. Anyway, so I haven't talked about the jibby jab, and anyway, that's pretty much it. Hope it stays up. Hope you liked it. Bring on the leans.